And welcome to the Attitude Lounge, where we promote living a life well lived through the magic of doing what you love. And today I have with us a soror, my soror from Chi Upsilon Sigma, Latin Sorority Incorporated. So shout out to my soror, Claudia Bernedo. And Claudia, I have to quickly just say how I came about to Claudia. Our sorority had a banquet this summer, which we both were there, but we didn't even cross paths at the banquet. And funny thing was, a lot of our sisters are just doing amazing things. And I saw she was on one of our other sisters' podcasts. And I'm like, oh, wow, I love this. A nurse and a nurse that loves to use other means for healing. And so this is, I think, what we're going to talk about, Claudia. Claudia is like, she is the CEO creator. She is the host of a podcast that's attached to also, her business, which is Cloudspace and Wellness. And so to that wellness, she also has a podcast that is called Brown Girl Boundaries. So definitely you want to go check that out. And Claudia, welcome. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here and to have this conversation with you.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like so excited. When I heard you talk, and honestly, I should mention shout out to our sorority sister, this Latina Travels. She is also on Instagram, on Apple, on Spotify. Please go ahead and follow her as well if you're looking, for someone to, discuss traveling. But let's get back to Claudia because that's what we're here for. And one of the things when I saw her, when I saw you, in the podcast, I was like, oh my God! I says that is so amazing. I says I've been looking for a nurse to interview, to chat with, to sit down, to connect somehow. We call it all different things, right? And I feel like it was just like meant to be, and I'm just, so glad I just have a soft spot for nurses.
Oh, thank you.
So tell me, Claudia, how did you come about this? You're a registered nurse, and so that's your trade. But then you decided to go on a bit of another journey, right? And create Cloudspace Wellness.
Yes. So, working as a nurse, I started working at hospitals where it's fast paced. I actually started in the emergency department,
Oh yeah.
which is a little chaotic. Yes.
Yep.
Then I went being a float nurse, like all around the hospital, even the intensive care units. And what I noticed was we s- and I have always been a pediatric nurse, so just the little ones, but including adolescent too. And the kids kept coming, let's say like for asthma, the same things and especially in the ED, in the emergency rooms, it was just like, here you go, here's your inhaler, and then bye. And then they will come again, you know. And we see this with adults as well, like adults that don't manage their diabetes or hypertension, they're just coming and not even though the nurses like we do try to educate as much, it's not going as deep as I want it to. And that's when I decided to do a little more digging and see like what else can I do. I came across this certification for holistic nursing and nurse coaching. And so I did it. I felt like it aligned more to what I wanted to do. And in that training, we learned more about holistic nursing and just, treating the patient as a whole and also coaching. So similar as a health coach, um, we're utilizing our nurse background to promote health.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, coming from someone who's been a patient pretty much all her life, in the sense that I've had to deal with asthma, like severe asthma as a
Yeah.
child, as an adolescent, and just a lot of other chronic illnesses, throughout my life. And knowing that, almost like that kind of thing that we hear, like, I wish I knew then what I know now. Saying
Mhm.
so a lot of things are not being taught, and it's because I feel like there's such a separation, right? Medicine has, also become such a big business in a
Mhm.
sense. And so I, yes, I wish that, people knew a lot more and how to heal themselves, how to take care of themselves better,
Mhm.
and I know, this coaching that you do, what are some of the, and I know you have to keep confidentiality, but some of the, clients that you see, or one is like, something that maybe you're seeing a lot of, you know, that's out there that you're like, I wish more people need to know this.
Yes. So being a coach, I think is such a broad thing, or health is such a broad thing too, that I wanted to specialize on something that affects a lot of people of color. And my coaching is focused on generational curses that we have, that generational patterns that we keep passing along our families, our grandparents, um,
Oh,
a
yeah, I
lot of
know that too
us,
well. Yeah.
right? Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so a lot of us had come from, different, either immigrated to this country or, live in poverty. And actually, those things cause health issues, and not just physical, but also emotional, mental, and that's all part of wellness. So that's what I focus more on in my coaching business, and helping women break those generational cycles, empower them to to live a life that gives them more freedom to do what they deserve. A lot of us have imposter syndrome, and
Yeah.
that's actually tied to some of these generational patterns we inherit.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way that you use the generational patterns. It sounds, a lot better than generational
And
curses,
then
right? That's a little strong. But at the end,
yeah.
because sometimes, we do inherit these things, but it's not, sometimes the other people that we inherited from, those were the only tools that they had, and then they don't realize that now it's a different game, a different lifestyle, different generations that think differently,
Hmm.
and let's not even talk about the personality aspect,
Hmm. Yes, yes. And a lot of these things we sometimes not even realize that we have inherited these patterns until we keep seeing, for example, keep attracting the same type of partner, and a partner that is abusive, and you find yourself in the cycle of just having partners that are a certain type that is toxic. And once we like dig in a little more, then it's probably a pattern that you may have learned seeing from your family, or just you didn't know anything better.
Yeah, I think also sometimes people, they think, right, they're in a relationship and they think that if they break off that relationship, now they're failures. Now they're,
Mm,
and, so that's, one thing is like the personal aspect of it, but also you're thinking that way because of how other people kind of viewed, let's say, a marriage or a relationship, you know, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, well, you're, especially if you're a woman, right? You're the wife, you need to submit. X, Y, and
Mhm.
Z, And so, yeah, I think, you're on to something, very strong, which is like these little micro things that we're doing and we continue to do every year until something, pretty significant happens in your life that you're like, wait a second, what
Yeah.
have I been doing?
Mhm.
Or somebody calls you out and say, listen, you're in a pattern. Like, right, if you have a true
Mhm.
friend, if you have one of those friends that they're okay, sitting you down and saying, listen, I'm looking at some patterns here, and you may not like me, and that's okay after after we have this chat, but this kind of, and those kind of things are tough too to talk to other people about, because you either run into like this, I don't know. In my experience, I've seen people where they just like kind of, right. They're in a bad situation. They continue to talk about it and talk about it, talk about it, but they're not making a move. They're not,
Mhm.
doing what they're supposed to be doing, in order to look for that flexible life, in
Mhm.
order to be able to, like you said, take care of themselves. Is there like something people like need to be looking at? If you would talk to somebody who's like in either a relationship, or if it's something different, some, like for example, I feel like I worked like all my life, and that was the thing, right? You have to work. That's longevity, X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
right? And for me, when I looked at that, I looked at, oh yeah, like, I have to stay here because I have to retire from this job, and this is just the way it is, right? That's the right thing to do, right? And then now I look at Gen Z, and at first I had some trouble like identifying with some of them, but now I look at, maybe this generation's onto something. They don't like something, they move on to the next. They don't
Mhm.
waste, their entire life.
Yes. That's something. Um, I currently work in management, and something that we see is like hopping around from job to job. But and I hear from like the people that are older, they're like, "Oh, these people are not loyal. Like, why do they keep bouncing?" And in me is part of, if you're not happy, you should look for something else, right? But that's how like some people are brought up, right? It like work is work, and that's how you make money, and that's how you will be successful here. And that's actually a lot of like immigrants and people of colors, their mentality, because we come from a place where we, like money wasn't just handed to us, or we weren't born into money. And that's probably what a lot of them had to do to to make a family, and then they pass that mentality, those ideologies to their children. Hmm.
Yeah, I think something as, and I don't know if I'm way off, but please let me know. But something as simple as, I'm just like, we're talking about this, not not being able to afford it. It just took me to my childhood, and even though like I feel like we did okay, we weren't rich by any
Hmm.
means or anything like that. But my mom was a great finance person, and like any family, we had our ups and downs with that kind of stuff, but I just remember like in the old days, you kind of like went and bought, right, the cheap shoes, right? Well, this is what we could afford. We can't afford, the Nikes and all that kind of stuff. And but then it's like, oh, but then every month it's like you're paying for a pair of cheap shoes because by the 30th day the shoe's falling apart, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So like, in their mind, whereas like as I grew older and I'm like, yeah, I am gonna pay for that Nike shoes, but that Nike shoes probably gonna last me a long time. And so I kind of like broke away from that kind of stuff, like trying to buy everything in a bargain. Now, don't get me wrong, right? If if I want a Coach bag or something like that, I'm gonna try and get that in a bargain, you know.
Yeah.
But like little things like that that affect our lives as we go on that we don't realize, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot. So a lot of our ancestors were living on survivalship. And I think we need to realize that although there are people still living in survivalship, some of us are not. And the ones that are not, we need to realize that we're not and then live a life that is not just survivalship, you know. It's we find joy in other things. We are taking care of ourselves in all the like different aspects, not just physically, mentally, but like financially, having a occupationally, like a good working job, something that feels fulfilling and all that. All that ties all into wellness and health.
Yeah, that's a very great point. And, you know, honestly, sometimes I feel like even me, I kind of learned that as I got, like the other day, as I got older. Whereas now I tell people, hey, like you need, and this is part of, right, the podcast, like you need to have something that you truly enjoy to do once a week that's going to be your booster. That's the one thing that's going to energize you and that's going to make that week go by, you know, quickly, and knowing that you then again have something to look forward, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which where I felt like, you know, for me, because I can't say for other folks, right? I can't speak in general terms. I hate that because not I can't say, oh, every Gen X did this. So, but yeah, for me, I just did, you know, like, you know, little things that I, you know, didn't realize, you know, even honestly, even listening to elders. Like, you know, you still have, oh, elders, you know, our elders, they know more. Says our elders, they're very, you know, they do have a lot of information, and, you know, they can keep us in contact and connected to our roots and etc. But sometimes, you know, they're themselves struggling, and this is a whole different world that we're living in, that maybe, you know, when they were coming, when they were in their 30s, when they were in their 40s, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say you have to be careful. You have to, you know, kind of like manage your life based on the current, you know, life that we have here, you know, current what's happening, you know, and what you're saying too is, you know, finding something that fulfills you, but doing it also like, you know, like something that would have fulfilled me would have been to gone to see Bad Bunny. But I didn't have Bad Bunny money, Bad Bunny concert money. So, you know, one of the things, you fulfill yourself in other ways, though, you know. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, of course, taking a vacation will be great. Don't go into debt, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to do a thing, because there's so many things that you can be fulfilled with. And there's so many things that we don't even know, tools in the
Mm-hmm.
community centers that you can find things to do, you know, including enrichment classes, you know. Those are the kind of classes, you know, I don't know, I'm sure you know what they are, but just in case, you know, folks don't understand, it's like, you know, where you have that, you know, winery, like, you know, you go taste some wine, you pair, you know, you do some pairing, or where you go and learn how to bend glass, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, do, you know, something in glass, you know. And you know, there's usually, especially if there's community college nearby, those kind of classes exist upon, you know, the community college world,
Yeah.
because they're there to serve the community, so they make these things available, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, what would you say, like, how long have you been a nurse?
Um, this is going to be my fourth year. So I'm actually pretty new because this is my second career actually.
Oh,
So
is it? Oh, wow, that's
yeah,
amazing. Okay.
it's,
All
I
right.
started nursing. In my 30s.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing because I
Yeah.
worked in higher ed, and I got to tell you, it's not easy getting into nursing programs. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Unfortunately, part of my job was kind of letting people down,
Hmm.
or, when they would receive that letter, then, they would call, you know, I would have
Yeah.
to talk to them. I mean, we also had other people, but yeah. So that's like, listen, bravo.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
that brings up a really good point that, I want to make, and that is that it's never too late to reinvent yourself.
Yes, definitely.
I reinvented myself in the 50s, like in the late 50s. It's like, I had to I had to choose. I
Mm-hmm.
retired, but not because I wanted to. I had to choose, right? If I want to make it to, I used to say 60. If I want to make it to 60, I have so much going on that I have to, you know, retire. And
Yeah.
so, it's like, what do I do now to keep me connected?
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of things that way. And also, how do I learn more? Because I love to learn, but sometimes reading. So, listeners like, or viewers like, you can listen to, our podcast, and whether you're working, right? Whether you, well, depends what kind of job you have. But when you're driving, to work, or driving home, or when you're, got home and you just, want to chill out, you
Yeah.
can go to YouTube. And I'm on YouTube, but Cloudspace Wellness will be soon too.
Yes, yes. But they can listen to me on Spotify for now.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So yeah, so if somebody wanted to, I guess, contact you, how would they get a hold of you for coaching? And what kind of things can they expect from that?
Hmm. So if I have my Instagram where that's where I do mostly like my communication. My Instagram is Cloudspace Wellness. That's the handle. And I my email is Claudia at cloudspacewellness.com. And you can send me a DM or an email. And our coaching is basically it's very personalized. So it depends on what the person needs. But typically is we form a container, whether it's like 3 months, usually like 3 months we meet like 3 times a month, and we work on what you need. So is it that at your relationships that you want to get better at, or there's cultural guilt, or any just finding out what the pattern is. We first kind of like unfold and just breaking down what is holding you back. Then we work on giving you tools. We put them to practice. And then yeah, so whatever, you're here in point A, you tell me where point B is, and then I'll hold your hand and we'll walk to your goals.
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think coaching is very important, and I think, people out there, um, I think, need more coaching.
Hmm.
Need, therapy and coaching in a way is that sometimes, just doing those little things too that we talk about, right?
Yeah.
The things that's gonna, like, make you feel good, make you
Hmm.
happy, make you smile, you know
Yes.
and sometimes, again, all you need to do is anything. Watch a comedy
Yeah.
movie, watch a comedy show, you
Hmm.
know but yeah, I think there is a disconnect with, how people have been living their lives, which is that what you were talking about, work, 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 right?
Hmm.
that's kind of the pattern of behaviors that we were told that's the way, it is, the white picket fence,
Mm.
that the dog, you know.
Mhm.
So when you hear, somebody like, like me, who's a dog lover, but lives, oh goodness, lives in the community, that I think I lost you somewhere in here.
I know.
Can you see
Yeah,
me?
I can see you.
Oh,
I
but
think.
I can't see me. I can see you now. It closed, but I apologize for that. But yeah, so that when I say, oh no, I live in a community that does not allow any animal. It's like, oh my God, how do you do it? I says, well, you do it. You adjust. You got to do different
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
What would you recommend for someone like to do? Like even if it's once a week, I know you do yoga, right? To kind
Mhm.
of, connect with yourself, with your thoughts. I think that's something important too that we don't do a lot, connect
Yeah.
with ourselves. I think sometimes people may find it a little weird. Oh, why? What am I going? But it's the same thing. It's actually we do that all the time. We think that's
Mhm.
connecting with yourself. We think when we're driving, we're planning ahead. Um, but what kind of things would you recommend people to do, like just as a from a wellness perspective,
Mhm.
and knowing that maybe something like that you recommend could also, um, you know, heal,
Mhm.
emotions and the mind. And I know some people work out, some people do yoga, some people do Pilates.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do love yoga and meditating, but I know that it's not for everyone and it's not the easiest actually meditating. Um, we live in a country or like in a culture that is very like you said, work, like the hustle culture, that it's hard to slow down our mind.
Yeah,
But
I totally agree.
meditation, yes, meditation, yoga, I think it's so powerful because it makes you connect to your body a way that you can listen to your body because our body tells us what we need. If we just listen, something is coming or like you're craving a type of food. Why are you craving? Because your sugar is low, you need more carbohydrates. It literally tells you what you need if you just listen to it. Also, our words are powerful. The way you speak to yourself is very powerful. So everybody makes mistakes, but when you make mistake, like you can't just bring yourself down. Oh, you're dumb or like saying negative things. Like your body's also listening to you. So just reflect on those things. Be nice to yourself. Listen to positive affirmations. Say it out loud. Manifest it. I think all those things are um, easy things that we can do, that we can create like mind shifts, like your brain, like you're exercising it, like meditating, you're literally exercising your brain for more focus. And all those things will just make you feel better.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree that meditating is hard, but it can be. And what I tell people, so if meditating don't work, then do you pray? Pray then. Do that. Pray
Yeah.
for your body to heal. Pray, for others to heal.
Hmm.
Pray, for just having good people around you, you know.
Hmm.
So you know, yes, it's difficult, but I think the thing with, and I think that's just human nature sometimes, is like we give up. We
Yeah.
just give up, and that's the thing. Don't give up. Just try. Even if you fall one week, just get up. and do it again. Start over. There's lots of
Yes.
things I do to start over. Like, sometimes I'm doing my stretches and my, mobility like workout routines, and then, after a good 2 or 3 weeks, my body doesn't want to cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, I could be down, which just happened. I was down for the count for like
Yeah.
3 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, it just happened. So I can say
Mm-hmm.
like I'm back this week. I'm back. But it just happened, and and it's it's a matter of, you have to be and if anybody watches some of the some of my podcast episodes, one thing I say, and I've said this is something I used to say to the students that I used to advise, and that is, you have to be your own cheerleader. You
Mm. Yeah.
can't you can't expect, even if people say how much they love you, and you
Mm.
can't expect them, to uplift you all the time. You can't expect them, to make you happy. You got to find your
Mm.
own happiness, and you got to find a way that you uplift yourself.
Yes.
And it could be anything, like every morning, instead of, getting out of bed, I'm just going to jump out of bed. I
Yeah.
don't, unless you can't jump, then don't jump. But, but it's like we got to find those little things that
Mm-hmm.
help us, move forward,
Mm-hmm.
because you know there's like a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
don't know. We don't even, we may not even know, even we may have a BFF, and we may not know everything that they're going through, because sometimes, in my experience, I've learned that, sometimes a lot of people, you know, don't share what they're going through, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
for different reasons, right? For different reasons. But, um, you know, I think, it's important to kind of always stay positive for yourself, but for the people around you. And, I'm just like so happy that somebody like you exists,
Oh,
that,
thank you.
could, potentially help, others out there. So is there anything you want to, like, I don't know, give a
Um,
shout
on,
out or?
on that note, I do want to say, be kind to yourself. And as I say that, um, I I'm currently like getting over a cold. And for the past few days, well, this past weekend, I didn't do anything. And that, and I still struggle with that guilt of being like, I could have done so much, but I didn't do anything. I usually go to sleep early because I do like waking up early. But these days, I haven't been able to wake up early, but I had to put myself in check and say, Claudia, you're sick. Like, give yourself some grace. Like, stay in bed because I wake up like at 5 something. I don't go into work until like 8:30. So I do want to be productive, but I haven't been able to. And it was like yesterday or today that I had to like give myself a little pep talk and say like it's okay. Like you need to heal. So stay in bed. So yeah, that's be kind to yourself.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
kind.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, yeah. I always say that to me and my bestie. We talk about that, being kind of, and then sometimes I'm like, I say like, yeah, but you got to be careful. You can't give so much grace that now you're just sleeping and you're in bed and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But yes, when you're sick, you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, like, right, acceptance is like so important in life, because you're like, I called off from work, I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm sick, that means I should be resting,
Yes.
right? And I'm sure you probably are your worst enemy, because you're a
Mm,
nurse, you know this, but you're like, oh, I should have rested,
I should have.
you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So yeah, the importance, I totally agree. Yeah, you have to, like, you have to almost look at life in a different way. You have to start looking at life in a different way,
Yeah.
and saying to yourself, you don't want to right later on say, oh, I should have taken that trip. I should have taken that cruise. I should
Mhm.
have, gone to see, the pyramids in Mexico, or I should have. And we do that because we're working, right? It's in our nature.
Mhm.
It's, culturally,
Yeah.
and so later on, you're too tired or too sick,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those kind of things, I feel like also like not just when you're sick, but when you've worked really hard and you're like, you know what? I deserve this. I deserve to go do this,
Mhm.
I deserve to have experiences,
Yeah.
other than the ones I'm getting at work, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. And we talk when I talk to Bianca from This Latina Travels, we talk about cultural guilt and how we feel guilty from traveling. And because we have, our ancestors, our parents, grandparents that perhaps they were not able to do that. And we carry some of that guilt of us, who are we to, just travel for pleasure. And they couldn't, but that's okay. You're a whole different generation. You're breaking that curse. You are traveling for them. You're living their dreams. So changing that narrative of it's not it's not bad. It is that you're exploring the world, They couldn't because they didn't have the means or for so many other reasons, but you can, and you shouldn't deprive yourself just because your ancestors couldn't.
Yeah. Right. And maybe they live a life that they didn't even know they could. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's that too. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't deserve that. Like, I had to take
Yeah.
care of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's and our mental health, I think everybody's mental health has been suffering because, we talk about what we deserve, right? Those little things about being kind, and it could be like, I'm going to go get a pedicure.
Mm.
I'm getting a manicure. Like, gosh, I haven't done that in months. Like, I remember my mom used to always say, she was a girly girl, but she always used to say, may she rest in peace. Oh, like I'm doing my nails, and I never used to do my nails, and now I do. And,
Oh.
I'm doing my nails to lift my morale. That's what she used to say. I'm getting my hair done to lift my morale. I'm getting a
Yeah.
pedicure done to lift my morale. She used to say just like that, you know.
Mm.
And I used to think that was funny back then, but I'm like, she was right.
Mm-hmm.
She was right. You
But
need
she
to
was.
do those little things because life has us busy, like you were saying, like, in so many different directions, you know, and so sometimes we just forget. It's in front of us. We just forget.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you mentioned about getting up early in the morning. I love to get up early in the morning, even if I don't have to. And I love to watch the sun come up.
Mm.
And, one of the reasons why I like is because I can actually come out to my patio and just you hear the birds, but everybody's still asleep. People
Mm.
are still, it's almost like the world has not awoken yet. And to me, that's like just super peaceful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, after an hour, then you start seeing people, getting the
Mm.
cars and stuff. but
Yeah.
I totally understand that. And that's one thing I like to do, because it gives me just another day to, like, if I failed yesterday at something, I can try it again. You know,
Yes. Yes.
so
That's something I was talking to my boyfriend about, like I actually enjoy Mondays. Mondays
okay, now you're a
everybody's
weirdo.
like, yeah. I know everybody dreads them, going back to work, but I view it the same way that you view the mornings. I think is the start of something. And even whatever happened last week, you can start fresh.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, don't give up, right? Even if let's say you're on a diet and then you felt, yeah, yeah, had an ice cream. Okay, so just that's one ice cream. Just keep going
Yeah,
though. You know.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I went to the gym, but then I didn't go the second time. But you can still go. Again.
Mhm.
Those kind of little things. Oh, I should have been kind to myself and I didn't. I didn't give myself grace, but that's okay. Next time, you are going to give yourself grace.
Mhm.
Those kind
Yes.
of things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pushing forward.
Yes. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy and I'm just honored that you were able to hop on a Zoom and, you know, um, chat with me. Because I know sometimes some people call these interviews and I just call them like chats. This is the way I connect with people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just like super excited to release this episode and I want to thank you for coming to the Attitude Lounge and staying positive and sharing your craft and in particularly sharing how people should take better care of themselves. So I
Yes.
truly appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I truly enjoy talking to you. It's been a pleasure. And I invite anybody, even if you don't even want to work as a coach, but if you want to discuss something about any generational patterns or anything that you want to work through. I just love like sharing what I have and just having a regular normal conversation. And yeah, so they can um, see my Instagram or reach out by email and then listen to Brown Girl Boundaries.
Yes, absolutely, and definitely, I'm going to highlight that when I do my editing, so that they can hop on that as well. So there you have it. Again, Instagram and Spotify. Spotify is Brown Girl Boundaries podcast, and we have on. You have a. Do you have a LinkedIn on your LinkedIn bio?
I do, but I need to
You might not
find
be
it.
up. Well, you can still find her on Instagram, Cloud Space. Wait.
Yeah, Cloudspace Wellness.
Cloudspace Wellness. And yeah, DM her or you have all the information where you can contact her there and move forward. Yes, I am going to end this episode, but stay on with me because I want to just chat a little bit
Yes, yes.
about sisterhood. Thank you so very much,
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Record.